Hi everyone. So today we'll be learning the lesson of NCERT Class 12, Poem 1, My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das. So let's get into the video. The video will be divided into 4 parts: author description, detailed explanation, poetic devices, as well as board questions. My Mother at 66 is written by Kamala Das. She was born in Malabar, Kerala. She is recognized as one of the India's foremost poets. Her works are known for the originality, versatility, and indigenous flavor of the soil. Kamala Das has published most of her novels and poems in both English and Malayalam, and she is a sensitive writer who captures the complex subtleties of human relationships in lyrical idiom. My Mother at 66 is an example of that. So let's explain the poem by lines. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me. So Kamala Das with her mother is going to Cochin airport on a Friday. Her mother was dozed, open-mouthed, and her face ashen like that of a corpse. Doze means sleeping. So her mother was sleeping in open-mouthed position, and her face was ashen like that of a corpse. Her face is very ash-like color, and she is frail, and she is just like a dead body. And realized with pain that she was old as she looked, and but soon put the thought away. So she understood. So Kamala Das, the daughter, understood that her mother is old, and she realized it with pain, but soon put the thought away. So in order to distract herself from the thought of losing her mother or the process of aging, she soon put the thought away, and she looked out at the young trees sprinting and merry children spilling out of their homes. Young trees sprinting means young trees are running. So just like how the car is moving, she could see the trees are sprinting, the trees are running with them. And the merry children spilling out of their homes. Merry or happy children are spilling. Spilling means coming out of their homes in large numbers. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked at her again. So now both of them have reached the airport, and after the security check, standing a few yards away, she looked at her mother again. I looked her wan pale as late winter's moon and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear, but all I said was, "See you soon, Amma." So when she looked at her mother again, she saw her mother's face was wan. Wan means colorless and pale as a late winter's moon. During the late winter, the moon will be pale in color. So her mother felt the same way. And the old familiar ache, my childhood fear. That means during childhood it is common for children to feel scared of losing the mother or leaving the mother for some time even. So she felt the same fear here. But here the feeling is her mother's approaching death. Even though she knows that her mother is very old, weak, frail, open mouth doors, and just like winter's moon and just like that of a corpse. But here she hide her emotions, and she smiled in front of her mother and told that, "See you soon, Amma." It is a way of assuring both of them, herself and her mother, that both of them will be meeting again, even though she realized that her mother is old and weak. Now I'll explain the poetic devices in the poem. First of all, there are two similes. One is face ashen like that of a corpse, and second one, it is pale as late winter's moon. Simile is a figure of speech which usually compares two unlike things using like or as. Third one, trees sprinting. The figure of speech is personification. Sprinting means running. So giving human qualities to non-human entities is called as personification. Fourth one, merry children spilling out of their homes. The figure of speech is metaphor. Fifth one, smile and smile and smile. The figure of speech is repetition. Smile is repeating. Sixth one, but after the airport's security check. A sound repeating, so it's alliteration. Seventh one, felt the old familiar ache. F, alliteration. Fa sound repeating, so it's alliteration. There are lots of imagery in the poem. One is young children, trees sprinting. This symbolizes youth, vitality, growth, etc. Winter's moon, as well as ashen like that of a corpse, it symbolizes decay and death. And the rhyme scheme of the poem is free verse. Now let's discuss some of the board questions. The poet Kamala Das brought in the image of spilling children with the intention A. of praising children, B. of reminiscing her childhood, C. of bringing in a contrast to the mood of the poet, D. of making her mother happy and cheerful. The answer is C. of bringing in a contrast to the mood of the poet. Second one, why has the poet mentioned merry children spilling out of their homes in the poem? The answer is, the poet saw the children running out of their houses into the playground. They looked happy and unbothered, full of life and energy. She used to have a contrast to her aging mother who is sitting beside her. Third question, how does Kamala Das try to put away the thoughts of her aging mother? The answer is, so in order to distract herself from the thought of losing her mother, she looked out of the car window to see young trees sprinting and happy children running out of their homes. Fourth question, what was the poet's childhood fear? The answer is, the poet Kamala Das says that since childhood she feared separation from her mother. The thought of losing her mother has been making her uncomfortable ever since she was a little girl. Fifth one, why was the poet's mother being compared to the late winter's moon? The poet's mother looks pale and worn out, devoid of energy and enthusiasm of youth. She looks just like the late winter's moon. Sixth one, why does the poet smile in the poem My Mother at 66? The answer is, the poet's smile is a deliberate attempt to hide her anxiety and fear of losing her mother and the final separation. Alternatively, it also shows the poet hopes to see her mother again soon. Seventh one, why are the youngsters described as springing? Answer, the youngsters in the poem My Mother at 66 are described as springing because they are symbolic of youth, liveliness and joy. In contrast to the poet's frail and aging mother, the children appear to be young and spirited. Eighth one, what were the poet's feelings as she drove to Cochin Airport? Answer, as she drove to Cochin Airport, the thought that her mother looked old and withered disturbed the poet. Her childhood fears haunted her again. Read the extract and answer the following questions. Where was the poet driving to? And who was sitting beside her? Answer, the poet was driving to Cochin Airport. Her mother was sitting beside her. B. What did the poet notice about her mother? Answer, the poet noticed that her mother was dozing with her open mouth and she looked pale. C. Which thought made the poet feel painful? Answer, the thought of her aging mother made the poet feel painful. D. Name the figure of speech in the expression, her face ashen like that of a corpse. Answer, the figure of speech used in the expression is simile. 10th one, A. Name the poem and the poet. Answer, the poem is My Mother at 66 and the poet is Kamala Das. B. What thought did the poet put away? The poet put the thought of her aging mother away. It pained her to see her mother's declining health and impending death. C. Why are the young trees described as sprinting? Answer, the young trees are described as sprinting because they are full of youth, energy and activity. D. How do you know that the joyful scene did not help her drive away that thought from her mind? Answer, as the poet looked at her mother's face again, she experienced the same old ache and her fear of losing her mother surfaced again. Even the joyful scene outside cannot help her drive away from the pain. 11th one, A. Name the poem and the poet. Answer, My Mother at 66, Kamala Das. B. What was the poet's childhood fear? Answer, the poet's childhood fear was that of losing her mother, the pain of ultimate separation. C. What is the poetry device used in the lines 1-2? That is, pale as late winter's moon. We know it. Answer, it is simile. D. Explain late winter's moon. Answer, the poet's mother looks pale and worn out, devoid of the energy and enthusiasm of youth. So she described her mother like that. 12th one, A. What does the phrase familiar ache mean? Answer. The pain that her mother was growing old and the fear of separation was a familiar ache. B. What was the poet's childhood fear? Answer. The poet's childhood fear was the mother's growing old and final separation. C. What do the first two lines tell us about the poet's feeling for her mother? Answer. The poet loves her mother a lot and she feared losing her mother. D. What does the repeated use of the word smile mean? Answer. The word smile was repeatedly used by the poet to hide her feeling from her mother by smiling and reassuring herself. 13a. Who is I? I in the above extract is the poet Kamala. B. What did I realize with pain? Answer. The poet realized with pain that her mother is nearing old age. C. Why was the realization painful? Answer. The poet loved her mother so much, so when the time comes that her mother is nearing old age, pained her. D. Identify and name the figure of speech used in these lines. Answer. The figure of speech used is simile, that is action like that of a corpse. So I think you all have understood something about the lesson. Feel free to report your comments. Like, share and subscribe. Thank you for lending your ears. Wait for the next one.